The people have been asking, and today's the day. Let's build the perfect K-pop girl group. Nobody expects the perfect K-pop girl group. Our chief weapon is live vocals and flawless choreography. Our two weapons are live vocals, flawless choreography, and stunning visuals. Let's try again. Amongst our weaponry are such diverse elements as live vocals, flawless choreography, stunning visuals, a monster rap line, killer stage presence. You get where I'm going with this, right? We already ask so much of K-pop idols, so choosing the very best of the best is bound to be difficult. But to overthink a user-submitted question from my AMA, if I could create the perfect K-pop girl group, who would I include? Before beginning this exercise, I gave myself some ground rules. I decided I wanted 6 members. I generally tend to favor slightly smaller groups because I feel like you can get more of a feel for the individual members' contributions, and 6 members gives me the maximum to work with without going past that limit. I'm only allowing myself 1 main and 1 lead for each role, but I can have as many subs or unranked performers as I choose. If you're unfamiliar with how K-pop group roles and rankings work, don't worry, I got you covered. I already made a video about that, so go watch that before you watch this one, and it'll make a lot more sense. I also decided to limit myself to 1 member from any given active group. Like, if 2 IZ*ONE members ended up in there, I would be okay with that, but I didn't want to bring 2 IVE members, for instance, because that's not exciting. And on that same note, I also automatically eliminated all girls on top members. Like, they're already in one supergroup. Assume they're qualified. Again, it's boring to just recreate that group. So then it becomes a matter of, okay, well, what do I personally prioritize when selecting people for this group? Because I didn't just want to pick my 6 favorite performers. I feel like group synergy is such a critical element of creating a good group, and it's one that is frequently lacking when survival show groups come together because they're selected by popularity and not necessarily how well they work together. I really wanted to ensure that I had diverse vocal qualities, both for the vocalists and for the rappers. So that means including a mixture of warm and cool deliveries, and generally placing a priority on having a more unique vocal color. This yields a broader palette when you're distributing parts. It's almost like having more crayons in your crayon box. As an alto, I also love harmony, and so therefore it was really important for me to find vocalists who are comfortable holding their own while another vocalist sings alongside them. There are a lot of great soloists in K-pop, but actually carrying a harmony live is a skill that not everybody possesses. For my rappers, quick, clever flow is absolutely mandatory. I'm talking syllables per second, baby, but make me snap in the meantime. I really love when dancers have their own individual groove. To a certain extent, anyone can do some of these moves, but if you really make them look like they're your own, that's the most interesting to me. I also give bonus points for songwriting experience, which I think really makes you a better performer as well. And given the nature of the project, it seems pretty obvious that all-rounders should generally be preferred. It's a small group, so I'm better served by having performers who can wear more than 1 hat. Now that we've got that settled, who did I choose? It seems fitting to start with my leader, and if you were paying attention to those criteria, you probably already have a halfway decent chance of guessing who it is. Of course, it's none other than Soyeon. Soyeon is, without question, one of the baddest bitches in all of K-pop. It seems like the jury is still out on how to pronounce her group name. It's either Idol or G-Idol, depending on whom you ask. But one way or the other, she has writing credits on every single title track they've ever put out. In addition to all of the qualities that Soyeon offers as a powerful leader and a songwriter, she's also one of the best rappers in the entire game. She made a really strong showing for herself on Unpretty Rap Star while she was still trying to get her career off the ground. So her rapping started off strong, but it has come to an entirely new level over the course of her career. If you follow this channel, you know I love learning raps, but man, I just can't hang. Soyeon's on another level. She's also an incredibly competent vocalist and dancer. Her delivery is ice cold, so it may not sound as sonically pleasing as some idols, but she can still hit those high notes. She is still a top super lady.
Super lady.
So for that reason, I'm going to give her a sub-vocalist title and a dancer title as well. If you enjoy her performances, you should also really check out what she did with KDA, which was kind of a K-pop-ish side project with the League of Legends people. It's actually really well done, but I didn't feel like it should disqualify her in the same way a Girls on Top membership would, because it's more of a side project than a supergroup. Like, yeah, technically it's a supergroup, but kinda not. Whatever, it's my channel, I make the rules. Soyeon for president. The next person I chose was my lead rapper, which is going to be Kokona from XG. You might recognize her as the badass who shaved her head in their most recent comeback. Like, what a boss move. She's also a phenomenal dancer with excellent groove, and initially I actually penciled her in as my main dancer, but I demoted her to lead dancer, and I think that you'll probably agree with the person that I actually selected as my main dancer, but we'll get to that later. Her XG groupmate, Jurin, could have served very well in this capacity too, but I don't feel like her vocals contrast enough with Soyeon's vocal quality. Like, both have a very forward delivery, and Kokona's style is more husky, but still overflowing with swagger. Let's be real, Soyeon is a tough act to follow, so any rappers I select for this group are going to have their work cut out for them. I also gave her a sub-vocalist role. She has a beautiful voice and is really good at those low harmonies. Check out the Winner Without You live vocals if you want to see some of that. I think she'll end up really rounding out the vocal line, which, let's get to that. Starting with my main vocalist, Belle from Kiss of Life. It's still really early in 5th gen, but Belle is a once-in-a-generation talent. Her tone is so beautiful. Her head voice is crystal clear, and her whistle register is impeccable, which is those like super duper high Mariah Carey, Celine Dion notes that not every performer can hit. Most women don't have that range, and it's very rare to find a performer who's as young as Belle who has as much control of it as she does. She readily produces it live with no trouble. And she also has great synergy producing harmonies live, which, if you'll recall, was one of my priorities. And she also has writing credits to her name, including Unforgiven by Le Sserafim, a certified banger. I'm keeping her with just a main vocalist title. That's all she's got in Kiss of Life, and frankly, that's all she needs. For my lead vocalist, I went with Haewon from NMIX. Y'all, please don't be sleeping on NMIX. That entire group is ridiculously talented. They are the reason I had to add that no more than one member from a group rule, because it's just boring to just put NMIX here. And naturally, that meant I had to make some tough choices. I went back and forth between Haewon and Kyujin when I was trying to round out my rap line, but I'm 1000% sure this was the right choice. Haewon has proven her chops with live vocals time and time again, because that's pretty much what NMIX does best. She and Lily harmonize together ridiculously well, and so there's no reason to believe she wouldn't be able to hold up to Belle's example. I also think I would be remiss not to give her a dancer title, so I gave her one of those as well, because I think she's so much fun to watch dance. She has so much personality. Her facial expressions are so cute. Looking at this now, I'm realizing that my rap line ended up really heavy on swagger, and then it's kind of balanced out by my vocal line being heavy on cute and sassy. What a good combo. Sounds very fitting for me, honestly. So now I've got some pretty strong vocalists, some pretty strong rappers, but we're missing that certain je ne sais quoi. We need a visual, maybe a center. If she was someone that could fill in on both the rapping and the vocals as needed, that would be great. She's not going to be expected to do any super duper heavy lifting on those fronts because we already have very talented performers in the group with her. It's really more just for flavor. And to me, there's no one more qualified to perform in that role than Wonyoung. She is my alt bias, so how was I going to make a perfect K-pop girl group and not include her in it? That wasn't going to happen. Come on, you should have seen it coming. If you've been following this channel at all, she should have been the center space on your bingo card. Wonyoung is the epitome of a very well-rounded idol. She steals the scene in every music video. And she's also the epitome of an it girl. Her presence alone would cause people to check out this group. As a performer, she's first and foremost a vocalist, so I gave her a vocalist title as well as my center, visual, and dancer titles, along with a sub-rapper title. I'd still love to have her as an option, but when you see who I selected for my last member, I think you'll agree that it'll be pretty unlikely that she'll be asked to serve in that capacity very often. I agonized over who should go in this last slot. I was looking for somebody who was a really good dancer, but also a competent rapper preferably, maybe with some vocal abilities. I heavily considered Ryujin from ITZY, but I didn't feel like she would contrast enough with Kokona. I considered Yeji, but I didn't feel like her vocals would be quite right. She has this tendency to force upper belts that I think would look kind of rusty next to Haewon and Belle. No offense, Yeji stans, I still love her. I also thought about Chaeryung, who's super underrated as a vocalist, but I really wanted to get somebody else who was a strong rapper. I cursed myself once again for giving myself that girls on top role because Garino would have been great, but when I finally remembered that this next performer existed, it was instantly settled. Rounding out my lineup is my main dancer, Lisa from Blackpink. The degree of, oh, duh, I felt when I remembered that Blackpink existed is difficult to overstate. Frankly, I am going to blame this on YG. That is what happens when you keep your performers locked in a dungeon. Lisa is widely renowned as one of the most talented dancers in all of K-pop. She learns in minutes what takes others days, and she has way more than enough swagger to hang with my existing group members. It genuinely feels weird to only put her as a rapper because she's so talented, but I do think that this is the right ranking. Soyeon is main, Kokona is lead, Lisa is just a rapper, and Wonyoung rounding it out as a sub-rapper. I think Lisa also deserves a vocalist title. And so with those selections, Soyeon, Kokona, Belle, Haewon, Wonyoung, and Lisa, that means that Kokona is my Maknae. Congratulations, baby girl, you've been promoted! Sorry, don't take that the wrong way. I didn't mean it like that.
I think this worked out well. I ended up with an even mix of native Korean performers and international performers, which is great because it broadens my global appeal. And to that point, my performers speak a lot of different foreign languages. We also have built-in production and songwriting capabilities, so we're more than capable of creating our own music.
That does it. I am sure you will have opinions about this one, so I look forward to reading them in the comments. Don't be toxic, and I'll catch you next time.